Good day, guys. Welcome to Trading Arbitrage Opportunities with Calvin Ports. Welcome to episode 27. Uh, Today we're gonna be talking about the US dollar. The US dollar is a currency that is rigged, a currency that is well manipulated, especially when you combine the currency with the euro or the euro USD. You're gonna have a lot of issues, a lot of in fact, Euro USD is uh, a currency pair that makes a lot of traders quit trading before they even get to start because of those market manipulations. And man, it tells a lot of lies. So, listening to fundamentals and trying to see what will happen in terms of fundamentals, looking at uh, the Euro USD is not a good idea. This is USD CAD, and this is the weekly time frame. So in terms of price action, we have our first touch. My trading strategy is trading three drives to the top, three drives to the bottom. Just like here, we have the first touch, the second touch, and the third touch. I always expected to manipulate. And this is Wyckoff schematics. But if you're going to be looking at Wyckoff schematics horizontally, you will always get lost. You just need to understand that in Wyckoff schematics, you have a compression and expansion. So these expansions give us a probability of the market breaking out of the current uh, uh, compression area or correction area. Let's talk about what we mean by a correction or compression. Now, when the market is moving within the Wyckoff schematic like that, this is a compression. And once it breaks above it, and it breaks, once it breaks above it, we expect it to break below. And this is what we call an expansion because the market is moving out of the compression. And once you get the compression, you need to understand what is happening in terms of macroeconomics. And that makes you believe that we will, depending on your microeconomic reports, that makes you believe that after this expansion of the breakout, you are going to get the break out of the compression area. Now, at the moment, in terms of macroeconomics, I don't have anything that says the US dollar is out of the recession. I don't have anything that says it. It says the macroeconomics is telling me that the US dollar is stable, but it does not tell me that I'm about to get a major bust. Remember the system that I was telling you about, that I trade what we call a major bust. A major bust is when a currency is moving out of a recession. So I cannot expect the US dollar to move out of a recession. The first reason is that let me bring you the first reason why I don't believe that the US dollar is about to get out of a recession. So remember, interest rate hikes and cuts were designed to handle or control the inflation. So right now we have an inflation that is not stable. It's giving us some sinusoidal waves, and we are suffering. That the US dollar is suffering from uh, these sanctions of other countries, and you know the tariffs that, since the president of the United States had been sworn in, we have been having issues with the US dollar being unstable because of the sanctions of other countries. In fact, countries that are actually good uh, economic wise, like China, Russia. So those are not the countries that the US is supposed to be sanctioning and Iran. So those are powerful countries that are not to be sanctioned. In fact, any president who's willing to grow his economy will not sanction those countries like China, Russia, and Iran. Those are the big economies of the world at this point. So uh, we're getting these sinusoidal waves, meaning that inflation is not stable. When inflation is stable, it's supposed to be giving you 2.93, 2.8, 2.9 again. It should give us a sideways move at those high levels instead of dropping all the way to 2.3 and coming back, dropping to 2.4, coming back. That shows that the inflation is not stable, and the GDP was collapsing. So it landed on the 2%. How do we know? Because previously we had a 2%, now we have another 2%, which does not give me uh, that belief that says the currency is actually stable. Unless if this is not the current inflation that we're looking to have, but this shows that the currency is not stable, and those are the reasons why. Okay, it shows you that it has landed in stability, but it's not yet stable according to my own economic research. And we are having a bit higher in the unemployment rate, telling us that next month we're gonna have a bearish currency in the US dollar. But there's a high possibility that the United States has a lot of issues. Uh, it has a lot of okay. What the United States does is that Donald Trump can say something today, especially when the president is Donald Trump, and a lot of things can happen. Just like those three battleships that are moving into the Venezuelan border, and they have about 3,000 amphibians in those battleships, meaning that they are trying. Venezuela is an oil mining country, so I think they're trying to invade that country, and the reason that made me believe they're trying to do that is because the United States government had on the weapon sales. This might be because during when that Israel Israel, the United States had been sending a lot of military weapons to Israel. Those towers that we destroyed in Gaza are American weapons. Those are the outcomes of the United States making a lot of money. So the Americans, even when the economy is not doing well, they make sure that they make money uh, the good way and the bad way. Even if it's the bloody way, they will make money. Especially now because we have a lot of homeless people in the United States, and we also had an issue with we had a huge trend in people moving out of the United States, and a lot of macroeconomics are negative in the United States, but the currency is still doing well. So that will surprise you. This is government spending. You can see how stagnant government spending is, but in terms of weapons, these people are spending a lot of money on weapons. So this is another thing that we should look at. And this is the United Kingdom. I'm not supposed to be looking at the United Kingdom. In terms of, uh, uh, I'm expecting an interest rate cut here. I'm expecting another interest rate cut. nothing is holding the U.S. inflation. Nothing is holding the U.S. inflation. I'm expecting at least one last interest rate cut, unless if the NATO deal goes well for these guys. Unless if in fact, there's something that the United States president had done after the previous meeting with the president of Russia, which is uh, President Vladimir Putin. What uh, I am speculating at the moment is that the U.S. president asked the U.S. president had been fighting about NATO not spending a lot of money in weapons because NATO buys weapons from the United States, and the United States is like the captain of NATO or chairperson of NATO. So what the president of the U.S. was fighting about was that he wanted NATO to spend a lot of money on weapons, and they didn't. So in the last meeting with the Russian president, I believe that Donald Trump asked the uh, asked that the Russian president drops a drone. They call it a Shahed drone in Poland. So the intentions of dropping that bomb in Poland was to instill fear in the NATO members that, hey, if Russia is bombing one of us, then we should uh, start buying more weapons in the U.S. because these people are not buying weapons, and the U.S. had been trying to speed up the buying of weapons, and that's why I believe that that was one thing that the U.S. president asked the president of Russia. So I don't believe that is a mistake because the border of Poland is far from Kyiv. It's a long way away from Kyiv. So I believe that it was intentional and just to speed up the military spending on American weapons. So it's just another business making thing, and the supply of American weapons on in Israel uh, had killed a lot of people, but the Americans made a lot of money, and I believe that dropping that drone in Poland was another way of the U.S. president trying to make money. So just to push, I'm gonna be monitoring the weapon sales and check on what happens there. We might get a spike in weapon sales, and when we just had a turnaround, we just had a turnaround on weapon sales. So the reason why government spending is this low is because the U.S. government is not fixing anything. There's a lot of homeless people in the U.S. There's a lot of potholes. They spend a lot of money on weapons, military expenditure. So there's nothing economically holding that currency besides uh, wars, battleships, and weapons. So they spend a lot of money on weapons. I'm expecting a spike higher than this in weapon sales because I'm expecting those guys to buy those NATO countries to buy weapons from the United States. So that's the reason why I am looking forward to a bullish move. But in terms of macroeconomics, nothing is pushing the US dollar higher. We might get it might continue to move higher, but macroeconomically, the US dollar is negative. That's why I have this thing. And the reason why I have this is because the Canadian dollar will be going, uh, is actually going sideways, but because we because it's oversold, it will be going sideways, but because it's oversold, I'm expecting it to at least give us a pullback out of that oversold area. So let's see each other on the next episode, guys. Uh, Goodbye.